It's the month of April, and we're reviewing the latest albums from the month of March, because it's so many that we're reviewing. Welcome to my panel. Welcome to Musical People and Journeys, to Paul, to Trish, to Simon, and to William.
Good morning.
Hello.
Well, if you tune in for the first time, we are Musical People and Journeys. We review all the latest kind of rock albums, and then we review them in our Album of the Month show. We'll rate them, because we're going to review it now. And today's review is the new offering from While She Sleeps and Self Hell. While She Sleeps are a British metalcore band from Sheffield, formed in 2006. The group consists of vocalist Lawrence Taylor, guitarist Sean Long, and Matt Walsh. Bassist Aaron McKenzie and drummer Adam Savage. They're currently signed to their own labels, Sleeps Brothers, in the UK, in collaboration with Spinefarm Records in the US. They have released 3 EPs. Sleep Society and Self Hell is one of the two. Apparently they are, one of the latest studio albums. And they received the British Newcomer Award at Kerrang Awards in 2012. The group has maintained the same lineup since the formation, which is quite unusual these days, with vocalist Taylor being the only bandmate who's not an original member. Despite this, he's appeared in every release apart from the group's first 2 EPs. Right, now, full-on metalcore. So let's go down to one of our metalcore aficionados. It's Simon Reed. Simon, While She Sleeps. Now, I know from the grapevine that you might well be a fan, or you've heard them before.
Yeah. So I've heard While She Sleeps before. I have listened to them before. Yeah, we talked about this. My opinion on this album is complicated. I think I've listened to it at the wrong time. It's very experimental. It's very interesting. There's a lot of things going on in this album. There's a lot of different musical styles, and experimentation is the word I'm going to use for it in the tracks. But I think I'm just not in the mood for it. It just did not gel with me at all. Some of the tracks were okay, and I did enjoy some of it as I was listening through, but as an album overall, I don't know, I couldn't get into it. I couldn't enjoy it properly. I think I'm going to enjoy these tracks listening to them individually away from the album and just hearing them on big shuffle lists and things like that. But yeah, unfortunately, this album did not hit the spot for me. But like I said, I think it's more of a timing thing than anything else.
Trish, will you continue on to your conversion to metalcore, perhaps?
Well, on first listen to this album, I wasn't sure, as the first half really kicked you in the face with its punchiness metalcore. Then I seemed to get lost in the second half, and it didn't seem right to me that should happen or why it did. So on second listen to the album, I notched the volume button up a few decibels, and then wham, that was it. This album is not one to have on for polite background music. This needs to be played loud for you to immerse yourself in it and what it has to give. The album title track was one of my favourites. Even with some slower tracks at times, this album gives you everything you want from dark, melodic, metalcore rock. I'm definitely on a journey with this podcast, as most definitely when we first started, this kind of genre was everything I hated about rock. And I was stuck in my 80s classic rock, which I still love to this day and is at the root of my heart of rock music. But I am a changed rock chick and have to admit I have more dark, melodic, progressive, metalcore, new metal rock albums on my music library than I do traditional rock. So good job While She Sleeps, as you have been added to my music library.
William, now, fan, metalcore, surely, tick, box, rave. Rave away, William. Rave away.
Same. So I've been listening to While She Sleeps since about 2016, 2017. I first got probably into them with the album You Are We, which was very punch you in the face, proper metalcore, screamy shouter the whole time, and I loved it. I saw them live in September last year at Alexander Palace, which was phenomenal. which is the weird thing for me with this, because they played a certain song from this album, the title track, in fact, Self Hell, which was September 2023, and it's now April 2024, which still to me seems like a long time to have had a single released. And I was thinking before, it does sound, the album for me, try and find the best way to word it, sounds more like a lot of it's a collection of singles rather than a fully formed album, which I imagine would be, as a part of their, it's obviously a lot more experimental. They're doing a lot more sounds. At first half, which really pulled me in, was more classic While She Sleeps, and it goes a bit more strange, confusing, and wacky in the second half. But it's still very enjoyable. If you like While She Sleeps already, you're still going to love it, because it's the same stuff and love with some added bits. And if you don't, it's easier to get into this album than it would be any of their other ones. I can say that for sure. Sleep Society, all that jazz. But no, this is a really fun album. I had a lot of fun with this, and I mean, I've been listening to tracks like Leave Me Alone and Self Hell for a good long time on repeat. It's very, very fun.
Talking of Self Hell, Paul.
Oh dear. Okay. So I kind of agree with everyone's comments so far. So While She Sleeps have over 19 years elevated themselves from local clubs to arena filling gigs with a metalcore brand of music. The Self Hell album is not what you'd expect from a British metalcore band. Now, I'm not a fan of metalcore. It conjures up an imagery of the physical and mental state that I need to be in, which in my view is quite dire, with burst eardrums listen to the primal screams of the vocalist, a broken neck, to the hyperactivity of headbanging induced fanatical thrash rock, and bleeding knuckles from punching the wall to vent my pain and anger. Sorry, but no thanks for that. Self Hell is completely the opposite. Call it a change of heart, an adventure of metalcore into the commercial genre. There are times when we all crave for something different in the rock world, and there are bands out there that are experimenting with mixed results, such as Beartooth, in what I would call pop-orientated metalcore, or others would call new metal. While She Sleeps haven't just upped the bar in this respect. They put it on top of some imaginary tower on the top of Mount Everest. They have literally taken a container full of creativity and somehow poured it into a pinhole of ethos to fill a musical void that was needed in the rock world. In my opinion, fail to listen to this album at your own peril.
What have I done? What have I done? This journey that I have taken, people! Drop the mic. I mean, let's be honest, like, if we played this when we first started our journey, the first album, I played metalcore, to me, to Trish and to Paul, it would have been a fat 1 or 2 out of the ratings. You guys have conversion, and yet the two big metalcore fans, I think these two might well have enjoyed the album more than you two did. What the hell's going on? What is going on? And am I joining them? No! I am not joining them.
What a shocker!
Joining them. However, no, it was too metalcore for on the vocals for my taste. But however, I do agree with Paul. I think musically this album is a masterpiece. I think it's I think the what they tried to do, and you're right, Simon, it is a bit experimental in some of the ways it does, but I was in awe of some of the musicality composition of the album, and it kept me kind of listening it kept me interested without enjoying. Does that make sense? Only because of the vocals. I wanted to listen to more because of the musical kind and the different variations and the tempo and some of the things they were doing. I thought was outstanding. And there were a couple of tracks that weren't really screaming. Self Hell was the highlight. Definitely was an absolutely cracking track and wasn't too screamo. But so overall, it was just like an okay album for me. It wasn't like, I certainly wouldn't put it into some of the realms where, like our R2 last month, for example, was just like, don't know what everybody was. I didn't really understand what everybody was raving about. I could understand if people were raving about this album. I could understand it without fully appreciating it. But there we go. So there we go. Will Self-Hell and While She Sleeps get into our Hall of Fame. How will they compare to the other albums that we've reached? How will they compare to the albums that we've rated so far? Well, tune in. Keep an eye out. Hit the like and subscribe button and tune in to our Album of the Month show where we reveal our ratings for our listening pleasure for the month with a bunch of other albums. And thank you very much for joining us. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks to my panel, to Paul, to Trish, to Simon, and to Will. Goodbye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.